Hi friends. So it's been a while since I've recorded an actual video and I'm going to try to do this quickly. I do not have my stylist, so if my numbers are a little wonky, I apologize in advance. But we are doing today multiplying with decimals greater than 1. So we're going to be talking about, yesterday we talked about multiplying by tenths and hundredths. But now we're talking about adding 2 and 20 hundredths. So things to remember, and these are things that we went over yesterday. You want to make sure that you keep all of your partial products, those are those numbers you put underneath, all aligned. Alignment is still very key. Digits are just multiplied like whole numbers, and then you put your decimal point in after you have your answer. So it's almost like you can pretend like those decimals aren't there when you're multiplying. Now, how do you place that decimal? Well, the decimal is placed so that the number of decimal places, I'm reading right here, in the product is equal to the total number of decimal places in all the factors. So however many decimal places you have in the top factor and the bottom factor, you add them together and put them all into the product. So for example, when we're looking down here, remember that a tenth, 1/10 times 1/10 equals 1, 10 times 10, equals 1/100th, which is the same as what we're saying down here. 1/10 times 1/10 equals 1/100th. You notice there's one place value here, one place value here, which means there's going to be 2 in the answer. So that's our little review. I'm going to try a few of these examples. If you need to find where I am and want to use your SAB book or have some more to practice, SAB book page 141 is where I got these from. So let's look at 4 and 6/10 times 12 hundredths. So remembering our 3 key things, keep your partial products aligned. So anything that we do below here are partial products. So we want to make sure we still keep them in line as to where we're multiplying. Multiply like the decimals aren't even there. Just pretend like this is 46 times 12. And then we will place the decimals at the end. So if I start with this, I'm going to say 6 times 2. And I'm going to do the shortcut method. If this method is confusing to you, you can use whatever method it works for you, and it's still gonna equal the same. 2 times 40 is 80 plus 1 is 90. Placeholder. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. Now I need 2 placeholders because I'm going to this one. Placeholder, placeholder. 2, 0, 0. We're going to add all of this together. 2, 15. Now, here's the part where I know some of us are going to get confused. However many place values are in the factors have to be in my answer. So I have 1 here and 2 here. So I have 1 place value here. Oops, sorry. 1 here and 2 here. If I add those 2 up, I have 3 place values. So I'm going to put my decimal in 1, 2, 3 place values for the answer to be 552 thousandths. So let's try it on number 14. 5 times 5 is 25. Aligning those numbers just like I would if they were whole numbers. 5 times 80, or 5 times 8 is 40, plus 2 more, 42. Because I have to put that 0 there as a placeholder because I'm moving over to the tens place. So my answer needs to be in this tens place. 8 times 5 is 40. If you notice, I'm putting it over that 2 because I've already used it. 8 times 8 is 64, plus 4 is 68. I'm going to add those together, and I have 5, 2, 12, carry the 1, 7. So now how many place values do I have in my factors? I have 1 here, and I have 1 here. So I need 2 in my answer. 1, 2. So my answer is 72 and 25 hundredths. I'm going to do one more where there's 3, because I feel like we'll do 15 and 19 because there's 3 answers and it's kind of confusing. So let's do 1 times 9 is 9. 9 times 6 is 54. It's going to be hard for me to line these up because I don't have my stylus, so I'm going to try my hardest. I'm sorry, guys. 9 times 4 is 36 plus 5 is 41. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. Placeholder. Oh, and all of these are zeros. 0, 0, 0 times 1, 0 times 6, 0 times 4, 0 times 2. So I can actually put zeros all down here. 9, 4, 1, 2, 2. So technically you could say I didn't really need to do this step. I'm doing it for visual purposes right now. So the next thing is, how many place values do we have in the factors? I count 1 here and 2 here for a total of 3. So I'm going to make sure that I have 1, 2, 3 in my answer. So 22 and, so we say and on the decimal, 149 thousandths. So let's look at number 19, because it's a 3-1 now as well. So remember, the things we need to remember are lining them up and just multiplying like they're a whole number, and we pay attention to those decimals at the end. But don't forget to put them in because your answer is not going to be right. So 8 times 5 is 40. Remember to keep everything lined up. 5 times 7 is 35. Plus 4 is 39. I'm going to do a placeholder. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 7 is 7. I've already used this, so if it confuses you. Now, I could do a third row of all zeros, but I'm not. 7, 11. Now, how many place values do I have? I have 3, right? So I need to make sure that I have 1, 2, 3 in the answer. So the answer is 1 and 17 hundredths. This 0 doesn't necessarily have to be there. It doesn't change the value of it at all. So we need to be able to apply this to word problems. So how am I going to apply this to this word problem? Maggie is training to run in a 6-mile race. Her training program has her increase her weekly long run each week. This week she ran 4.5 miles. Next week she will run 1.3 times as far as she did this week. How far will she run next week? Well, the problem that I'm hearing is 4 and 5 tenths miles, and she ran 1 and 3 tenths as far as she did this week. So I need to multiply just like I would multiply. So 5 times 3 is 5. Carry the 1. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. I'm going to cross out that 1. Placeholder. 1 times 5. 4 times 1. 5. 8. 5. How many place values do I have up here? 2. So I need to have 2 in my answer. So my answer is 5 and 85/100 miles. And just for the sake of time, let's do number 23. Tark is building his dog a bed. He wants the width of his dog bed to be 75/100 times as long as the length. If the length is 1.5 meters, how wide will it be? So we need to 75/100. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. This is the worst. 75/100 times 1. We still want to make sure that we're aligning everything. Like we said before. So 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37. Placeholder, 1 times 5, which really is 10 times 5. 1 times 7, and then you're going to have 5, 12, and 11. And however many places I have in the answer, so I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So my answer, how wide will his bed be? It's going to be 1 and 125 thousandths meter. Okay? Hopefully you're starting to see. This is nothing new. The properties of multiplication we've talked about before. I just wanted to review them with you and how to complete the equation to match what your formulas are up here to remember. So that commutative property means that you can flip these two in any order and it's still going to be the same answer. So to fix this equation on this right side on number 27, you just need to find the number that's not on the right side, which would be 3.2 or 3 2/10. Which would mean that this is the commutative property being illustrated. I would write it more, but my handwriting without my stylus is not pretty. The associative property means that you can associate things in a different order and it still would be okay. So here we have 80 and 7 times 72 times 38. So I look over here and I go, oh, what number is missing? Because this side of the equation needs to be the same as this side of the equation. If you look here, you have A, B, and C, right? Here's the A, here's the B, here's the C. So as long as you're associating these numbers in a different order, but they're all still there, you're good to go. So here I have 72, here I have 38. So the number I'm missing on this side is, I hear ya, 80, which makes this the associative property. And that the parentheses are kind of your clue that you're associating the numbers in different groups to get the same answer. Now, with the distributive property, you have to kind of look for those ways that how you're going to be distributing the numbers. So in our formula, we see that we're giving A times B plus A times C. So you're given a little of A to B and a little of A to C. So if you were to add B and C and multiply that total, you're going to be getting the same answer. So if I look down here, I notice that I'm giving a little bit of 7 to one number, a little bit of 7 to the 4 2/10. So I see 4 2/10 here, I see 4 2/10 here. What needs to go in this blank spot? Oh yeah, 3 8/10. 3 8/10. So this would be considered the distributive property. We will go over more of this in class tomorrow, but this was really a lot of review other than keep multiplying, always line up your numbers and place your decimals after you're finished in your product. You need to take into consideration how many decimals are in your factors as to what's going to be in your product. Have a nice night. Don't forget to press done on Google Classroom.